Yo, what's good YouTube? It's boardzy, and this is going to be a review of the Ajazz AJ159 Apex, the newest mouse from Ajazz, potentially their first good mouse, and yet another 3950 release, even though on their website they don't seem to be too sure, but it is a 3950. And yeah, to put it simply, this is Ajazz's version of the ninjutso Sora V2. The shapes are nearly identical. And yeah, I've been around for a while. Ajazz has been doing this since the original Model O shape, probably before then, and they just come out with their own versions of popular shapes. This does come in at a 56 gram weight, and it is noticeably a little bit back heavy. So it's not going to be the same super lightweight as the ninjutso Sora, but it does have 8K pulling, and it is incredibly cheap for a mouse of these specs. Does that mean it's incredibly good necessarily? No. I mean, for example, it comes with a charging dock. As you can see, I wrote shocking on mine, and then you can see, I mean, it's a pretty cool charging dock. It adds a little bit of value to the experience, but that is not really a gimmick that I care a ton about. But yeah, shape-wise, there's just not a lot to say. Another shape it lines up well with is the Atlantis Mini. It's way smaller than like the standard Atlantis, like the XM2 Wii. Not similar to the VXE R1 because the sides aren't nearly as flat. It's just really, as Techni would say, a spitting image of the Sora V2. So is this very exciting for me? The shape that I have tried before at a worse weight? The answer is once again no, but honestly, in my time using this mouse, I didn't find anything that was just terrible or like concretely bad about the design. And I know some people are going to be like, you think 55 grams is heavy? And it's not that, but it's like, imagine you experience a shape that feels less dense and better balanced, and then you just get like a worse version. And I'm not going to say it fucking feels better. It feels fine. I don't think the weight should be a deal breaker unless you're just obviously dead set on having an extremely light weight. But if you do fingertip, I don't feel like it's a top option either shape-wise or weight-wise. But yeah, really for claw grip, I feel like with all the releases in the past year, you should know by now if you like these smaller, like higher hump mice for claw grip. If you don't, then this probably won't be for you. I mean, you can just watch my Sora V2 review. The thoughts are pretty much the same on the shape. Build quality wise, like shell quality, I actually have no issues really, no matter how hard I squeeze. Actually, I guess if I squeeze that hard, I get a little pop, but in game it does feel solid as a rock on the sides, which is impressive. But then again, at a medium lightweight like 56 grams, I'd hope the shell integrity is there. But then again, from Ajazz, it's just always a toss-up. So the build quality, at least on my unit, does seem to be good. Click quality, I really can't say the same, and this is after not a ton of use, and it's just like, this is an area where it's easy to cheap out on. Like maybe Ajazz will find as some like click design to steal from that is a bit higher quality, but so far I do have some like pretty bad side wobble where I can just feel like plastic grinding on plastic on both buttons. I do have a ton of like pre-travel on mouse 2 and creaking. You can see like the pre-travel towards the top, but it just does feel just very poor quality wise. These are Huano green shell white dots, I believe, so it is kind of cool that we're seeing new Huano switches in the G-Wolves HTR. This mouse, these do feel just like very low travel distance, very light, kind of tactile, but I feel like they are kind of just ruined by this like shell implementation. It just does feel pretty cheap. But yeah, to be honest, they haven't caused me any issues in game, but it is just a very noticeably cheap feeling. And if it feels like this after this amount of use, I doubt after more use it would be better. But I do see people saying that their copies are like perfect quality. So did I get the dud, or does Ajazz have questionable QC? So yeah, similar to the Sora V2 where I had click quality issues, these just, I don't know, they don't get a pass out of the box, and I doubt they will hold up long term. But the other buttons are actually surprisingly good. Like the scroll wheel, it just feels very well lubed, like it's a smooth, consistent feeling wheel. The scroll wheel click is definitely on the lighter end, and the side button design is surprisingly good as well. Usually these designs, like they'll press into the shell a lot, or they'll just be like super mushy. I guess these do kind of press into the shell after. Yeah, there is a lot of post travel on mouse 4, but not something I noticed in game. I found the positioning to be pretty good, and for Fortnite they were just spammable. They were fine, but I don't know. This mouse would never be my top option. It's not going to be something I use after the review, but I do understand that there might be a market for it. I feel like on a lot of these budget mouse reviews where I'm like, yes, this is fine, the specs are like up to par, but it just feels mid, people are like taken aback because I'm not going to lie to you guys. Like, this is the same weight as the Viper V3 Pro, despite being a much smaller mouse. Like I said, it's a denser version of the Sora V2. It just doesn't feel like all that in hand. So if you're fine not having the best of the best click quality, the lightest, best balanced weight, and you're still okay spending almost what you would on a mouse without those flaws just to say that you have 8K and like a charging dock, it's fine, settle for the Ajazz mouse. But yeah, really for uninnovative clones in the market that we are in to really move me, it has to be better at a lower price, not just simply the lower price. Because yeah, it makes sense. Ajazz can order an absurd quantity of mice and their unit cost is very low, so they can sell the mice for pretty cheap even to the Western audience. But that doesn't mean that the mice themselves are good. And I'm not saying you can't perform well with this, it wouldn't be my top option. The 3950, it honestly, on 8K while clicking, it is very iffy for me compared to some like other better implementations I've been using recently, like Final Mouse 8K, Viper V3 Pro, G-Wolves HTR even. But yeah, on 4K and 2K, it did run well, and I do hate that Ninjutso has not released the 8K. I think there's very suspicious stuff going on with that company, but I also can't just say that this completely kills the market for that mouse, because the Sora V2 at 40 grams, it is a much better weight. And I don't even have a Sora V2 on hand because I just haven't been able to get one shipped to me from Ninjutso. It is truly bizarre. But yeah, it's the same shape, the same essence, just it with the Ajazz experience. But they have gotten better at cloning shapes over the years. Obviously, this is not going to get the seal of approval, and one criteria for the seal of approval is if I don't plan to use the mouse after a review, no matter how much of a good budget buy it is, it's just not going to get the seal of approval anymore. The fact that this mouse ships with these shitty, like, black Teflon skates is stupid. There's no other word for it. Like, it does play somewhat well on this, like, old Raiden surface that I have, but on most controlled cloth pads, it was just very slow, so you are going to want to put on some different skates. I know that's very commonplace with the mouse experience, but yeah, they don't even provide you any extras in the box. They just know. They know it's no good. The mouse does have Bluetooth as well, and like I mentioned before, the charging dock features. Besides the 8K just not feeling amazing in my experience, in my personal use case, the sensor, it didn't seem to be bad at all, like for a 3950. And yeah, in the software, there is no motion sync setting, and some of the translations are odd, like roller simulation button shake elimination. That's actually kind of insane. And yeah, one of the final things to talk about is battery life, and like I said, I don't have like multiple weeks of use on this mouse, but the battery life has been very good. But I think that's in part just because I'm dropping it on the dock at times when I'm not using it, because it's just a very convenient method. But yeah, I would not expect more than like 4 or 5 days on 4K polling, but obviously it's just so easy to drop it on the dongle that I don't think battery life is going to be much of a concern. The coating is pretty good. It feels similar to like Pulsar's white coating, not as like rubberized and grippy. Doesn't really compare with like the OP1 8K, the Razer white coating. They do provide you in the box some like BTL grips. I'm pretty sure this is just the exact same OEM. I didn't apply them, but if you don't for whatever reason like the coating, you do get those. And yeah, I'd say the coating is like a 7.5 or an 8 out of 10, where it's not like bad at all, but it's not one of the best coatings on the market. And that's all I have to say for the Ajazz AJ159 Apex review. And yeah, I truly do believe that this mouse is like a revision away from being really good. The click design, though, it's one that it seems like it limits side-to-side play, but you could just feel like a nasty wobble grinding feeling. So I just don't think it's up to par. And like I've said before, it's just a mid version of another mouse, which is what Ajazz is known for. So I'm not saying that this is going to be the worst buy in the world, but definitely not the seal of approval, definitely not something I'm recommending. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. If you have any other questions, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, I'm not counting Ajazz out for the future. They could get better at copying things. It's entirely in the realm of possibility. But yeah, that's all. Peace out.